So, Saniya Rivers got on live, and you better believe the next time that the Indiana Fever faced the Connecticut Sun, like, I just want to see, has this really even been covered on YouTube? ESPN posted it 7 hours ago. ESPN posted it. ESPN took clips of it live and posted it in full on their one, which is crazy.
Saniya Rivers just fired shots at Sophie Cunningham, and guess who's posted up beside her like it's a courtside petty parade? That's right, Marina Mabrey. This isn't just your average sideline drama. It's high-octane, full-throttle WNBA chaos. The tension? So thick it needs its own shot clock. Why now? Why Sophie? And is Marina just along for the ride, or low-key stirring the pot? One thing's clear. This moment had more attitude than a group chat meltdown after midnight. Buckle up, because this beef is sizzling and it's far from over.
No, for her teammate. So evil.
Well, damned if I do or damned if I don't.
Damn.
Marina Mabrey, damned if I do. Did she just say damned if I do, damned if I don't? She just knocked someone on their ass for no reason from behind. She freaking Marcus Morris them. Well, no, sorry, Nikola Jokic on Marcus Morris.
If I do, damned if I don't.
I ate that one up.
Like, it's just basketball, man. Y'all love that shit in the NBA, though. It'd be cool when the dudes do it.
People were calling for Jokic got a suspension for doing what Marina Mabrey did to Mark.
If you genuinely watched that clip and came away thinking JC Sheldon was going for a legit shot, it might be time to enroll in basketball basics. Plus a refresher in plain logic. That wasn't a scoring attempt, it was a full-sped, shoulder-led missile with zero intention of finishing at the rim. Let's be real, that move had more in common with a wrestling takedown than a layup.
I want to talk about, this is crazy. This is Saniya Rivers and Marina Mabrey going on TikTok after that Connecticut Sun game and lying. And this is an example. I want to go through some things with this because this is an example to me of what an absolute unprofessional cesspool the WNBA is. And I know you all know that, but I still think it's important to talk about this because history gets rewritten all of the time. I just saw somebody talking about now that with the Cheryl Reeves stuff, if you saw my video, people talking about how Caitlin Clark was not playing well at the time of the selection and on. And that, again, revisionist history. I did a deep dive at the time, playing as well or better than any guard in the league. Chelsea.
The ball was nothing more than a prop in a drama fueled by frustration. It mattered about as much as a paper straw in a tornado. Sheldon wasn't aiming for a layup, she was aiming for lung damage, and the fact that people are defending it as just part of the game is laughable. Part of which game exactly? Because that looked less like basketball and more like an unscripted cameo in a WWE SmackDown special no one signed up for.
So, first of all, there was a practice. They did their media during the practice. They pulled Sophie Cunningham aside, and of course they asked her about the JC Sheldon incident, and she stood on business. She said, this has been going on for a couple years now. Mind you, she was on the Phoenix Mercury last season, but she had mentioned that this had been going on for a couple years now with Caitlin Clark, and she was basically sending a message.
Sheldon might as well have strapped on shoulder pads and signaled a blitz. That wasn't a drive to the basket. It was a full spade charge, and sadly for Sophie, she played the role of the target. No finesse, no shooting form, not even a glance at the rim, just pure, deliberate force, like she was cashing in on some long-held grudge from a middle school travel tournament. It wasn't basketball. It was payback, dressed in a jersey.
Caitlin Clark is the golden goose. Every game she is dropping golden eggs, and they are trying to strangle the golden goose to death. There's jealousy. There is hate. Everyone in the league seems to hate the fact that Caitlin Clark is making the league relevant. If I were advising Caitlin Clark, I would say start your own pro basketball league for women. I don't know why she benefits from the WNBA at all. She could go out. She is the draw for women's basketball and set up her own league. She might even be able to own the majority of the league. She could probably become a billionaire. Set it up with far fewer teams. You play far fewer.
If you enjoy, please leave a like and subscribe our channel. And yet somehow, in the land of backwards takes and hot mic analysis, Sophie Cunningham is getting cooked like she initiated the chaos. as if standing there, bracing for impact like an unpaid stunt double, was somehow a crime against humanity. People acting like she flopped, exaggerated, or sold it for the refs, when in reality she took that shoulder like a parked car takes a joyriding teenager. The laws of physics did the talking. Sophie was just the unwilling recipient of an upper-body freight train, and instead of sympathy, she gets memes? Meanwhile, Saniya Rivers is lurking in the background like the friend who definitely didn't come to de-escalate. Nope. She's got that "I saw it all and I have thoughts" energy. She doesn't need a mic. Her side-eye has its own commentary track. And let's not ignore the most underrated part of this cinematic chaos. Marina Mabrey is right there, absorbing it all like she's on vacation in the drama tropics. She's a casual instigator, calm chaos coordinator. You just know she's ready to translate the tea to group chat in 5 different emojis and one perfectly timed GIF. But let's really break this down. JC Sheldon, lowering her shoulder, was less aggressive play and more "I'm sick of your face and I don't care if the refs see it." That was an emotional foul, not a strategic one. If there were basketball infractions for holding grudges, that one would have come with a suspension and a therapy session. She wasn't driving the lane. She was driving a point, and that point was sharp enough to pop Sophie's equilibrium. And here's the irony. People will review that play 14 times, zoom in, slow it down, apply 3D modeling, and still claim it was just a hard play.
The Fever saw it coming. They went and got Sophie Cunningham, 6-year-old black belt. This is what the Bulls did with Charles Oakley to protect Michael Jordan. Watch the retaliation later by Sophie Cunningham. And again, this is inappropriate, right? No, it's what happened.
If the Indiana Fever fans keep voting the way that they are, could they get Sophie Cunningham to an All-Star game? Indiana Fever have 4 players in the top 10 of WNBA All-Star voting right now. So could we see 5? However, that top 10 is missing someone, and I think you guys are about to snub Angel Reese from an All-Star game, which is crazy.
The goalposts aren't just moving. They've packed their bags and relocated to another sport entirely. Let's not forget Sophie's history. She's no stranger to scrappy play. She's had her fair share of scuffles, elbows, and post-whistle stare-downs. But here's the thing. There's a difference between getting physical and getting clobbered. And this wasn't 2 players jostling for position under the rim. This was a hit job in broad daylight, and the getaway car was somehow a free throw. But oh no, the internet brain trust decided Sophie must have provoked it. Classic move. Always blame the one who got wrecked, like a cone in a driving test. Suddenly, Sophie's attitude, her posture, her existence on the court becomes the crime, as if merely being there, upright, with a jersey on, was an invitation to be bulldozed. It's the sports equivalent of blaming the crash on the parked car. And while all this is unfolding, Saniya Rivers finally steps into the frame with more tension than a season finale. The timing? Impeccable. The shade? Measured. It's not just a comment, it's a courtroom statement. She's not yelling, she's not performing, she's just correct. Her tone says, "Y'all saw that mess. Don't gaslight me like we didn't all witness a shoulder-based assault." It's the kind of call-out that doesn't even need backup. Just facts, vibes, and a side of indignation. And standing right beside her, Marina Mabrey continues her silent reign as queen of quiet chaos. She's not saying a word, but her face is practically narrating the situation, like Morgan Freeman in a true crime doc. Her eyes are saying, "This gonna be good." You can tell she's living for the drama. Not because she's petty, but because she understands the assignment. This isn't just a basketball game. This is content. If this were high school, Marina would be the one filming on Snapchat while also low-key whispering, "Ooh, she meant that." She's Switzerland with a camera roll full of receipts. She's the calm during the storm who also sells umbrellas. And the funniest part? There are still folks out here who think this was all normal. Like this was your average Tuesday game with a little extra physicality. Meanwhile, Sophie Cunningham is picking up her shoulder from the paint like it's a dropped earring. You don't accidentally launch yourself into someone's torso with that kind of commitment. That was a deliberate choice, executed with the grace of a wrecking ball in a tutu. And then the pearl clutching begins. Why is Saniya inserting herself? Why is she even commenting? Because someone had to say it. Someone had to play the role of basketball's brutally honest best friend. Saniya didn't start the fire, but she absolutely brought marshmallows. And her delivery, cold, clinical, and deliciously on point. The kind of calm rage that says, I've got time today, and I brought the truth.
I'm sitting there and I'm thinking to myself, is anybody on this team gonna stand up for Caitlin Clark? JC Sheldon grabbing Caitlin Clark all game, clawing at her. It's like tonight was a brawl, folks. Tonight was a brawl, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, is anybody on this team going to stand up for? And Sophie Cunningham.
Meanwhile, Marina remains unbothered. Her neutrality is legendary. She could host a summit between rival nations and still manage to come out with both sides liking her. But in this case, she's just basking in the heat from the drama flame that JC Sheldon accidentally, on purpose, lit with her shoulder. You can practically hear her thinking, if I don't say anything, I can't get fined. But best believe I know what I saw. And for the love of all things logical, let's put the final nail in this rhetorical coffin. If Sophie had been the one to lower the shoulder like that, the outrage would have registered on the Richter scale. We'd have headlines, think pieces, calls for suspension, and at least 3 dramatic slow-mo edits with dramatic music on TikTok. But because it was Sheldon, somehow it's just part of the hustle. That's not hustle, that's streetball beef with a side of passive aggression. So now we're here, in a world where shoulders are weapons, accountability is optional, and spectators are rewriting the laws of contact sport in real time. But at least we've got Rivers, Marina, and a good old-fashioned jolt of drama to keep things honest. Because when the refs miss it, and the fans twist it, someone's got to be brave enough to call the nonsense what it is. A drive-by in sneakers, with a scoreboard as the alibi. And let's not pretend Marina Mabrey was just there to spectate like some casual bystander waiting for her Uber. No, she was standing beside Saniya Rivers like a calm, caffeinated storm cloud with Wi-Fi access to every moment that led up to this exact mess. She wasn't alarmed, she wasn't confused, she was prepared.
And let's start with the play that set off the entire night. So as you guys can see here, JC Sheldon is guarding Caitlin Clark. She swipes her in the eyeball. Caitlin Clark nudges her off because JC stays in her face. And then Tina Charles runs over and is kind of wagging her finger in Caitlin Clark's face. And then Marina Mabrey comes out of nowhere and chucks her to the floor. Now let's watch this in slow motion. Here, JC Sheldon is guarding Caitlin, swipes her in the face. There's one. Going for the ball, swipes her in the eyeball. Caitlin's gonna have to start wearing goggles. And then Caitlin pushes her off of her, like, why are you still in my face? Marina Mabrey, bat out of hell, chucks Caitlin Clark to...
She had the body language of someone who had already filed this drama under not surprising and clicked mark as read. You'd think being that close to a call-out might stir something, at least a flicker of concern. But nope. Marina was giving emotional Switzerland with the attitude of, yeah, Saniya said it, and I meant it too. Because deep down, Marina didn't just co-sign Saniya's energy, she practically notarized it, and why wouldn't she? To her, Sophie Cunningham was already skating on thin ice with a blowtorch in hand. This wasn't just about the shoulder smash or the flying limbs. Now, in theory, defending your teammate or league mate should be a noble thing. A team-first, high-character move, right? But in the WNBA ecosystem, where locker room grudges age like fine wine and pettiness is an Olympic sport, choosing to go full knight in shining armor for Caitlin, while ignoring the trauma economy surrounding the fever, was a strategic disaster wrapped in a PR daydream.
I've been watching that Sophie Cunningham thing on repeat, man. That clip where she grabbed the girl and threw her down, so foul. It's a hard basketball foul, probably over the top. Of course it is, but why would it not be given the circumstances? But once she did the clinch, man, MMA fans, UFC, grappling, Muay Thai, like we all know. Once you seen that clinch, it was like, okay, she just ain't no regular fucking person. She knows something. She got some skills, and I guess she has like a black belt in Taekwondo or some shit like that, which is wild. And apparently she was the kicker on a high school football team. I mean, I've been going to the fucking lore of what is Sophie Cunningham. I'm like, God damn. This is what they mean when they talking about they like snow bunnies. Like this.
And Marina? She clocked it from the moment Sophie strapped on her verbal cape. Because let's not forget, the Indiana Fever aren't just a basketball team anymore. They've become a reality show. An ongoing soap opera where every hard foul is a political statement and every post-game quote is cross-examined like a congressional hearing. If Caitlin Clark sneezes, someone on Twitter calls it a microaggression. Meanwhile, the rest of the team is out here getting treated like NPCs in her origin story. And through all of that, where was Sophie? Right there, planting her flag in Camp Caitlin like she just found a new favorite influencer. And suddenly, here comes Sophie, swooping in like she's starring in the Caitlin cinematic universe. A hero in her own mind. And that's when Marina officially tapped out of the Cunningham Sympathy Club. So when Sheldon came in with that shoulder and Saniya delivered the verbal fade, Marina's reaction was a masterclass in strategic indifference. She didn't jump in, she didn't defend anyone, she didn't even blink with concern.
Nah, enough's enough, bruh. Enough is enough, bruh. What is going on? WNBA, y'all need to get this under control. This is ridiculous. Marina Mabrey, you just put yourself in the Dejanay Carrington box. You dirty slime ball player, you come and blindside Caitlin Clark. Marina Mabrey assaulted and tried to fight Caitlin Clark today. This is ridiculous. WNBA, Kathy Engelberg, do something. Do y'all want to go back to 55 to 60% of the people not watching shit again? I normally don't cuss in my blogs, but forget that. This was bull.
Because in her mind, Sophie had already aligned herself with the narrative that keeps getting the rest of the Fever team absolutely cooked. Why should Marina care if Sophie gets trucked? She wasn't protecting them when the whole league turned into dodgeball practice against Indiana. Suddenly now we're supposed to cry over a shoulder bump? Nah. Marina's emotional investment expired 5 games ago. And don't forget, this is Marina Mabrey we're talking about. The queen of dry one-liners, the goddess of not giving a damn, the undisputed MVP of try me if you want. Like Nalisa Smith hasn't been shoved into orbit. Like Aaliyah Boston hasn't been treated like a crash test dummy every other possession. Caitlin gets elbowed and suddenly it's DEFCON 1. But when the other Fever players are practically getting mugged, the refs swallow the whistle like it's an anti-inflammatory. Marina sees the double standard and decided a long time ago that she's not playing pretend about it. So, standing beside Saniya as she read Sophie like a Yelp review gone wrong.
All right, enough is enough. You know, at some point, the line gets crossed too often where something needs to be done and things need to be corrected. And that is certainly the case with the way things around Caitlin Clark are officiated. This is a constant problem now. You know, it is something that since the beginning, I've kind of like backed off on because physical play is a part of sports. You know, going after a superstar and trying to rough them up a little bit to get in their head is a part of sports. But when it crosses the line, the referees need to do their...
That wasn't awkward for Marina, that was justice with a front row seat. You could practically hear her internal monologue. Look, you chose a side. You wanted to be the spokesperson for the narrative that we're all bullies just being mean to Caitlin because she's talented? Fine. But don't act surprised when that energy comes back for you like a boomerang with beef. And let's not sleep on the irony. Sophie stepping up to defend Caitlin might have been sincere, or it might have been strategic. And that's exactly what happened here. Sheldon threw the bolt, Saniya voiced the thunder, and Marina, she was the calm eye of the storm. Completely unfazed because Sophie Cunningham had already removed herself from the circle of trust with a few too many Caitlin deserves better speeches. Marina's not going to defend someone who hasn't defended them. She's not here to play both sides of the fence when the fence itself is electrified with bias and nonsense.
Welcome to WNBA Fight Night, or as some people are saying, WNBA Raw. What a game that was. We had it all. We had basketball, we had fighting, we had blonde on blonde crime. Oh, such an epic. Oh, goodness. But at the end of the day, it resulted in an Indiana Fever W. 88-71, taking care of business.
She's tired of watching the same script play out, where the entire Fever squad gets treated like faceless extras while Caitlyn's every sneeze gets a 5-minute highlight reel. She's seen the disrespect, the snubs, the not-so-quiet whispers about who really matters on the team, and she's officially out of diplomatic courtesy. So when Sophie got rocked and the crowd gasped like they'd just witnessed a national tragedy, Marina stayed cool because she knows the truth, and more importantly, she's stopped pretending she doesn't. Sophie can posture, she can be political, she can ride for Caitlyn like it's a side hustle, but that doesn't earn her immunity when the rest of the league has receipts. And Saniya Rivers? She just said what everyone else was thinking. No flinch, no sympathy, no fake gasps. Just Marina Mabrey, standing firm in the storm, letting the noise swirl around her while silently confirming, yeah, Sophie had it coming. If you enjoyed leaving a like and subscribing, more videos are on the screen now.